Okay, perfect. So recording is started. YouTube live hai. So even if you want to watch this video again, you can watch on our YouTube channel. So let's start. Ganpati Bappa Moria. Today's topic is really interesting. We are going to see something which will not be asked in to your CKD exam, but मैंने सोचा कि will take a taste कि आप लोगों को कितना समझ में आ गया अब तक and so this time for this session you are going to help me to do everything practical. I'm going to ask the questions, you are going to suggest what's the best option which we can do. It's not really complicated. जो भी हमने अब तक सीखा है, how to deploy the Kubernetes cluster, how to implement the security for our Kubernetes cluster, RBAC, cluster role binding, um, Dockerizing images, Dockerizing application, and maybe monitoring and setting up monitoring and Grafana Prometheus setup for our Kubernetes cluster. And the new tool which we are going to see is Jenkins, which is a CI/CD tool. We are going to see not any advanced, but just I'll give you overview, then you can explore. And for the people who have already enrolled into DevOps batch 2, वहाँ पे हम पूरा डिटेल में देखेंगे. Since this is 2 hour session, तो इतना सब कुछ cover नहीं कर सकते in depth, but we are going to touch base everything which is required. Okay, so so even if you are not enrolling for, if you are not enrolled for the batch 2 as well, I'll give this will be a quick overview, and then if required you can explore on your own. So the count is less, today's count is less, but that's fine. लोग घूमने के लिए गए होंगे संडे, इट्स अ संडे वीकेंड, कल फिर से काम चालू हो जाएगा, है ना? तो एंजॉय करने दो, नो वरीज, वी हैव द रिकॉर्डिंग, दे कैन वॉच इट लेटर. Tell me how many of you are really excited for this session. Mehdi, Vikash, thank you guys. Okay, ठीक है, तो फिर today उतना भी ठीक है. We are, anyways, we are going to finish. So tell me, where should we start? I लगी क्योंकि अलग ही issues होते हैं, but that's a good learning. You will understand networking and how to set up Kubernetes fun part about the manager. You will, whenever you are going to set up the Kubernetes cluster, में ज़्यादा समझ में आता है. It I'll stop my pause my video. Am I audible? या तो फिर hang क्या बोल रहे हो? Okay, fine, sure. हाँ तो कित which tool you are using for setting up your Kubernetes cluster? Minikube, Kubedium, EKS, GK, AKS, EKS. Okay, good. Maybe you have used EKS. What about others? तो हमारा this is our 14th class. I'm sure you must be using something for practicing. Pranjal is using Killer Coda. That's nice. Not Minikube. Yeah, EKS use कर रहे, Cops, Kubedium. Good. प्ले विद Kubernetes तो बंद हो गया ना अभी. It's not loading. फ्री का सैंडबॉक्स था, but it's not बंद हो गया अभी. You can't use it. ठीक है. So today We are going to use a Minikube again. Minikube use करेंगे. And no worries, you can do the same setup on any environment. Okay. So first thing first, you need to install Minikube. Pre-install Minikube करके you can install the Minikube. And as we discussed in first class, Minikube starts either Docker container if you are using Docker driver, or if you are using VirtualBox, it will create a small virtual machine for running your Minikube to give you the environment to run your Kubernetes cluster into Minikube virtual machine. Okay. So since we are using default driver, which is a Docker, either you can use a Docker desktop or a Rancher desktop. That's fine. So we are using a Docker desktop. मेरा Docker desktop चल रहा है, and we are going to start our Minikube using a Docker desktop driver. ठीक है? So I already started it. It will. You can see here. Uh, it has created the container, Docker container inside a Docker desktop, and it's using default CPU and the memory, using the latest stable version 1.26 and Docker version 23. Okay, so that's it. It has created the networking, everything it has set up. If we check Docker desktop here, it should show us that there is one Minikube container running for our Kubernetes cluster. But this is for your practice only. Minikube is not used into production environment. उस टाइम पे आपको क्यूबेडियम का सेटअप करना पड़ेगा. You might be using managed Kubernetes services like AKS for GKE, या फिर COPS. There are so many tools which you can use to set up your Kubernetes cluster into production. Okay. हाँ तो सिर्फ मिनी क्यूब सिर्फ प्रैक्टिस के लिए यूज करो. Don't run your production setup into Minikube. Okay, and our Minikube is ready. It is running. Minikube status करके you can check it. That's okay. We have this Minikube setup here. I wanted to check my Docker desktop, but to start हो रहा है कि नहीं. Yeah, here. Let's check Docker desktop. May you can check all the images, volumes, and the containers of your currently running environment. So you can see here there is one container running Minikube for us, and इसके अंदर हमारा Kubernetes environment चालू होने वाला है. जो भी हम deploy करने वाले हैं, that is going to be inside a Minikube. Okay, it's a small container. If you want to go inside the Minikube, you can run the Minikube SSH, and you'll get the environment of this Minikube container. Okay, and you can see here everything is set up. Whatever the applications we are going to deploy on a Minikube cluster, those will be deployed inside this Minikube. Okay, so I'm exiting from this. As discussed and as I shared that we are going to cover the Jenkins part. Jenkins, okay. And we are also going to see the monitoring and alerting, monitoring part for our Kubernetes environment and Jenkins as well. But before that, just a small tip that Minikube also provides you the dashboard. So just do the Minikube dashboard and it will open a dashboard for you. From here also you can see every detail about your Kubernetes cluster, health of your resources which are being deployed into your Kubernetes cluster. And so it has stuck here to maybe to add on this metric server. Let's add this metric server. It's done. Metric server add-on is added and it will start the Minikube dashboard. it's taking time. Let it take time. कोई जल्दी नहीं है. But the view it is going to provide you is much better. It is going to show entire cluster health. How many nodes are there? What's the status of that node? Uh, how many pods, secret, and all the Kubernetes resources available into your cluster. Okay, ठीक है, इसको चलने दो. Quick question. वो when you write an application, some of you might be in college and some of you might be in might be working in some companies, correct? So what are the steps you actually follow before deploying your application into production environment or hosting your site online? What do you do from writing code to pushing that code into production or deploying your application into production? What are the different steps you take? या रिक्वायरमेंट गैदरिंग वो तो पहले होना चाहिए. हमें पता होना चाहिए कि एक्चुअल रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है हमारे एप्लीकेशन की. प्लानिंग, करेक्ट. उसके बाद you do the actual development of your code. कोडिंग, यस करेक्ट. टेस्टिंग भी करोगे आप. And if your application is based on Docker or Kubernetes, you might, you know, create Docker images, different versions of your Docker images, and then push that code into production, like write those YAML files, deployment, secret, those role bindings, roles, वगैरह सब कुछ. Correct. Yeah. And this there are so many steps actually in when you are working in a product based or on actual product. There will be so many steps involved into this entire stack. So Jenkins is something. Jenkins helps us to do that automated this process to automate it. There was very good diagram here. I'm not sure if we'll find it now. Let me check it. Yeah, this one. Okay. So as a developer or as a tester or as a DevOps engineer, you will be doing a lot of activities before pushing your code or making it live into production environment. You will you'll set up the environment locally. उसके बाद आप test code लिखोगे for different features. You might be working on different branches on GitHub. You will push that code into source code management, maybe GitHub, GitLab, जो भी use कर रहे हो. And there will be multiple branches for your product. Developer के लिए अलग branches होंगे, testing के लिए अलग branches. There will be branches for actual production code. And not only that, you will be working in a team. Developer के साथ काम करोगे. So that time you want to make sure that whatever the changes you are pushing into your GitHub or whatever the changes you are pushing into the production environment, those are properly tested. And all these changes what you are going to push into your code base, those are also working with other developers changes. So you are going to push that code into your source code management tool, the repository, GitHub. उसके बाद बहुत सारा टेस्टिंग होगा. यूनिट टेस्टिंग, इंटीग्रेशन टेस्टिंग, स्मोक टेस्टिंग, एंड टू एंड टेस्टिंग, यूआई टेस्टिंग, बहुत टेस्टिंग. That is the responsibility of the tester. आप अगर if you heard it or have worked on a real project, so there will be a separate team who is going to take care of this testing part. And there will be after that you might scan the your code You might build your Docker images. You will do this testing of your current Docker images into pre-production environment before pushing that code into production environment. And once that is working fine, you will push the actual changes into production environment once everything is satisfied. So you can imagine कि बहुत सारा steps यहाँ पे हो रहा है that पहले गिटहब पे कोड पोस्ट करो, उसके बाद इंटीग्रेशन टेस्टिंग करो, बाकी लोगों के साथ ये कोड चलना चाहिए, टेस्टिंग होना चाहिए, आपका कोड स्कैन होना चाहिए, डॉकर इमेज बनाना है, फिर से डॉकर इमेजेस को स्कैन करना है, प्री प्रोडक्शन एनवायरनमेंट में ये टेस्टिंग करना है, टेस्टिंग का अलग एनवायरनमेंट होगा, सो वहाँ पे भी टेस्ट करना है. And there are so many steps and the stages are here. And every time whenever we are performing these steps, we should notify to the owner of that developer or the tester that something has gone wrong, or if something is working perfectly fine, we should notify them. That's a feedback, right? If something goes wrong, if some let's say I am a developer, I have written some code, I have pushed that code into my GitHub, and I'm very confident कि ये मेरे local machine पे चल रहा है, and it is good to go into production. But that's not a reality. It should work with other people changes as well. Maybe I have tested my changes first, but before my changes goes into the GitHub or to production environment or the master patch, किसी और डेवलपर ने पहले से कोड चेंज कर दिया, एंड नाउ माय चेंजेस आर नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क इनटू एक्चुअल कोड बेस. तो मुझे इमीडिएटली फीडबैक मिलना चाहिए, ओके, कि आपका कोड इस बार अभी चल नहीं रहा, यू नीड टू मेक सम चेंजेस. सो दैट इज वेयर दिस reporting also comes into picture. And as we discussed, there are so many steps are happening to actual project. We can't we can't do this everything manually. अगर छोटा project होगा, then you will not need CI/CD pipeline. But for bigger project, or I would say कि you should definitely have a CI/CD pipeline for small project. तो थोड़ा आपको experience भी आ जाएगा, and from that only you will think for larger or the bigger project as well. So what is exactly happening? ये जो हमने अभी process discuss किया, to push our code and to do the testing, to build the Docker images, to send a report to the developer and the tester, everything has to be automated. We don't need to depend on someone else. अगर tester leave पे है, some testers are on leave, maybe it's a weekend, they are not working. So I should not wait for them to come back and do the proper testing and everything. If there is something automated process, if there is automated process to do all these stages automatically, I can push my code. उसके बाद ये जो pipeline, it's a pipeline. You can see this is a pipeline. The pipeline will trigger automatically. ये build करेगा मेरा package. It will do the testing. It will build the Docker images. It will test all the changes into pre-production environment. अगर यहाँ पे चल रहा है, then there will be someone who can approve the changes, and that change can go into the production environment. So we are making this entire release process very faster here. We are not dependent on anyone. हमारा कोड चेंज हो गया, then we can push the change into pre-production. ये testing वगैरह proper हो सकता है, right? We are reducing this entire release cycle process time. So that's where this Jenkins comes into picture. Jenkins is a free open source tool which helps us to automate this entire release process. Okay, so it's a tool for continuous testing and continuous delivery. मतलब you can integrate your code with different tools, and you can push your code automatically into GitHub whenever you are pushing your code into GitHub or GitLab, any source code management tool. it will automatically do entire integration testing वगैरह करेगा, continuous testing, and once everything is fine, it will also deliver the code into production environment as well. So that's why we are calling this Jenkins as a CI/CD tool. It has wide support for major plugins. We'll see that GitHub के साथ you can integrate with Gmail, you can integrate this Jenkins with Slack to send a notifications. You can integrate it with different tools, Docker registry, Kubernetes के साथ आप integrate कर सकते हो. Plugin you can develop your own plugins as well. Okay, and it's very easy to go through it. बहुत अच्छा tool है. ओके, Kubernetes कहाँ पे आता है? Kubernetes is a orchestration platform, correct? It is to host your application in the form of pods and the containers. It will help you to auto scale your application. It will help you to load balance application and all those things which we covered into first class of this session. Jenkins is something where it will come into where you need a CI/CD pipeline to deploy and to integrate, to continuously integrate continuous testing and continuous delivery of your application into any kind of environment. It can be Kubernetes, it can be your local machine, it can be cloud-based machines or anything. Okay, so we are going to check the Jenkins and we are going to set up the Jenkins. You can see here there are so many things, so many options are available to set up this Jenkins. You can use the Docker method. You can see the Kubernetes. You can deploy it using a manifest files, or you can set up install the Jenkins using a Helm v3 as well. You can install it standalone on Linux, macOS, Windows. The only prerequisite, what are the prerequisites are required to install these Jenkins on Linux or Mac OS? Those are already provided here. You need 256 MB of RAM, 1 GB of hard disk. Then you need a Java because this Jenkins is written in a Java, and you need to have a OpenJDK installed on your machine. Okay, you can follow this documentation. I suggest you to set up this. Jenkins is a extended version of Jenkins only. Jenkins X is an extended version of Jenkins where they have designed it specifically for Kubernetes-based applications, and you can install it very easily into Kubernetes environment, or you can do the CI/CD for the Kubernetes applications. Okay, so let's try to set up this Jenkins on Kubernetes. Kubernetes, आपको पता है, Kubernetes is an open source for automating deployment, scaling, and management of containerized application. So we are going to use this Kubernetes to set up our Jenkins. We are going to set up our Jenkins on the Kubernetes because if we go into the Linux, then we will need to install the Linux. We will need to have the Linux machine Mac OS पे अगर करना होगा. That is also possible, but since we are into CKD, I also wanted to cover the Kubernetes based setup. तो हमारा थोड़ा revision भी हो जाएगा. Why do we need this? Some of the resources हमने कल R back देखा था. We also seen the persistent volume, namespaces, service account, services. Everything will be covered here. Okay. Quick question. What's the namespaces in Kubernetes? What's the namespaces? Yeah, of course, namespace is a resource, but why do we need these namespaces? Very important topic from your Kubernetes and the CKD. Okay, हमारे VMware का भी documentation है and also Kubernetes वाला भी देखते हैं. In Kubernetes, namespace provide a mechanism for isolating group of resources within a single cluster. We have done this same name into the that namespace and it doesn't allow, because what does it say? Names of the resources need to be unique within a namespace. You can't have a resource with the same name. It has to be unique. But you can deploy the same application with the same name in a different namespace because of the uh, because of the different namespace you are using. So consider you are working in a team where you have multiple projects and you want some isolation for those projects. You can create a separate namespace to segregate the resources which you are going to create, maybe for Prometheus Grafana. You can set up Prometheus in one namespace and Grafana in another namespace. Or maybe Jenkins we can set up in different namespace so that you can clearly see what's the resources you are deployed for those application. Okay, so there are so many advantages of having a namespace. Namespace they can be helpful when different teams of the project share a Kubernetes cluster. Any number of namespaces are supported. By default, it creates a default kube system, kube public, and kubeless namespace. So we can also apply जो कल हमने देखा था कल टॉपिक RBAC. So we can apply the RBAC namespace to specific namespaces as well. Which are for a developer and the testers. You can the namespace and you can provide testers. Okay. You can also set the.
This meeting is being recorded.
Am I audible now? So was it not audible from the beginning या फिर अभी बीच बीच में हो रहा था ये issue? In between, okay. ठीक है okay. While explaining the namespace, huh? कोई बात नहीं. So you guys know the namespaces. We create the namespace to isolate the projects team or to provide the different access to users or the group of users. So this is a very good article. Just go through it and you will know. So यहाँ पे we were saying this a setup for Jenkins. ये क्या बोल रहे हैं? You need to create a namespace. You need to create service account. After that, you need to create a persistent volume, deploy your YAML for installing Jenkins, and उसके बाद service भी create करना है हमें. Okay, so let's create a namespace first. kubectl create namespace Jenkins नाम का एक namespace बना लेते हैं. Let's verify कि namespaces कौन से हैं. We will do the kubectl get namespace and ये सब कुछ सारे namespaces अभी available है into our Kubernetes cluster. These four were default and Kubernetes dashboard जब हमने dashboard install किया, so for that it has created one namespace, separate namespace. Okay, for Jenkins we are going to create a separate namespace. kubectl create namespace Jenkins. Let's verify it. kubectl get ns कर सकते हो या फिर you can also put a namespace and you can see Jenkins यहाँ पे available है. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, so I was explaining कि ये जो चार namespaces है, default, kube node, lease, kube public and system, these are the four namespaces created by the Kubernetes to manage the resources. Okay, kube public, system, kube node, lease and the default. For Jenkins, we are going to create, we have created a separate namespace, Jenkins, और Kubernetes dashboard में Kubernetes जो Minikube dashboard जो है, उसके related जो भी resources है, those are available here. kubectl get all and you specify namespace using -n option. यहाँ पे आपको सारे resources दिख जाएंगे which are related to Kubernetes dashboard. Okay. It has also installed the metrics scraper, Kubernetes dashboard, एक सर्विस पे चल रहा है ना, and we are able to access the, let's verify कि ये access हो रहा है कि नहीं, Minikube dashboard and हाँ अभी चल रहा है यहाँ पे. This is something which I wanted to show you few minutes back. Yeah, so this is a Kubernetes dashboard and here अभी हमारे पास कोई resources तो नहीं है, but when we create the deployment ये पूरा details दिखाएगा हमें. Okay, nodes, in a nodes you can see there is one node in this Kubernetes cluster, Minikube. These are the labels, what's the CPU request and limit set for this Minikube node, everything is here. Okay, so namespace check करते हैं. From here you can check the namespace and you can select the options from this drop down. It will show you the resources available and the different namespaces. ये देखो क्यूब सिस्टम में इतने सारे पॉड्स अवेलेबल है एंड इट इज क्लियरली शोइंग कि ये पॉड के लिए कौन सा इमेज यूज किया गया है, लेबल्स कौन सा है, कौन से नोड पे ये डिप्लॉय हुआ है, और द स्टेटस ऑफ दैट पॉड, CPU usage, memory usage, the creation time. If you click on this pod, you will see more information about it. Okay, the events about that pod, container के arguments, the mount points, security context, liveness probes, readiness probe जो हमने एक class लिया था, readiness probe, liveness probe, right? So everything is coming here. Let's go back to the documentation. namespace create हो गया, उसके बाद क्या बोल रहे हैं? To give some permission to this Jenkins, we need to create a cluster role binding and the service account. तो फिर ये क्या है, क्लस्टर रोल क्या है, रोल बाइंडिंग क्या है? जैसे वी कवर्ड इट, बट फिर से एक रिवाइज कर लेते हैं because it's a very important part from here. cluster role. So cluster role can be used to grant the same permission as role, but because cluster roles are cluster scope, you can also use them to grant access to a cluster scope resource or namespace level resources as well. And we are creating cluster role, उसके बाद cluster role binding भी create करेंगे to assign this cluster role to the service account or to the user. कल हमने देखा था how to create the users. Today we are going to see the service account. Service account क्या होते हैं? Okay, service accounts in Kubernetes. So what are these service accounts? A service account is a type of non-human account in a Kubernetes which provides a distinct identity in a Kubernetes cluster. कल हमने एक यूजर बनाया था फॉर मेरी मेरी इज अ रियल यूजर और he is a human and he needs to get access to Kubernetes cluster. That's why we create a user for Mary. But let's say this Jenkins, why they are saying ki create a service account for Jenkins? Because Jenkins is a not user or a not, it's not a human being. For that, we need to create a service account. Okay. That's a difference between the real user and the service account. So if you need to provide some permission to your services which are running into your Kubernetes cluster, you can always create a service account which represents non-human accounts. Okay, it can be application pods, it can be system components, and entities inside or the outside cluster can use a specific service account credentials to identify as the service account. So every namespace, service accounts exist as a service account objects in the API server. We are going to see how to create this service account. So each service account is bound to a Kubernetes namespace. Every namespace gets a default service account upon creation. Let's say कि हमारे पास ये जो अभी cluster है, here do we have the service account? So how to check? Do the kubectl get service account or SA and check. So you will see there is one default service account already created on this in every namespace. So kube system के यहाँ पे भी होना चाहिए. You will see there are so many service accounts created for actually running this Kubernetes cluster. Metric server default भी है, deployment controller, daemon set controller, cron job controller, ये जो हमने अभी तक resources बनाए थे. So all those resources are for those resources and the communication between those resources and the services, there is one service account created automatically. And whenever we create a pod, it will use that service account as well. Okay. So use cases for Kubernetes service account, your pod needs to communicate with the Kubernetes API server. For example, in situations such as like providing a read-only access to a sensitive information stored in secret. So granting cross-name, so provide the read-only access to sensitive information using role or the cluster role. You will create a service account and add that service account into your pod. Okay. Here you can see how to use the service account, create a service account object using a kubectl command, grant permission to the service account object using RBAC method, and assign that service account object to the pods during pod creation. So these are the three steps we need to follow to provide service account to any pod. That's why they are saying create a cluster role, create a service account, and using cluster role binding, you bind the cluster role and the service account. Whenever you use the service account, ये जब भी आप use करोगे in any of the pod, in our case it's a Jenkins pod, it will assign this cluster role to that pod. Okay, so we are going to create this cluster role binding and a service account. Let me create one folder here separately for our the changes. Jenkins नाम का है. जेनकिंस डेमो नाम का एक फोल्डर बना लेता हूँ cd jenkins demo vi service account dot yaml. ओके, यहाँ पे कुछ चेंजेस करने पड़ेंगे बिकॉज वी हैव यू वी आर क्रिएटिंग अ namespace. We have created namespace using jenkins name. तो namespace में चेंज कर देता हूँ बिकॉज ट्यूटोरियल में उन्होंने दिया है DevOps tool namespace which we have not created. हमने jenkins नाम का namespace बनाया था. So let's apply it. kubectl apply service account dot yaml. Okay, and you can see it has created a cluster role binding, and a service account. Let's verify. kubectl get cluster role binding and service account from our namespace Jenkins. बहुत कुछ आ गया. We don't want everything. We only want Jenkins related cluster role binding, and Jenkins. Is this part clear? Majid, no, we have not created the private repository yet. That part I want to show, but maybe let's see how we can use it. सब लोगों को clear है? Why do we need a cluster role binding, and the service account? Okay, sure. Sure, I'll write commands. I'll clear the terminal and write the commands. And ठीक है. फिर से दिखाना है क्या? No worries, I can show it again. So this is our file, serviceaccount.yaml file, and I just copied it from the tutorial. Here is a cluster role definition. You can see here हमने जो कल रोल बनाया था, कल role binding यूज किया था. Today we are creating a cluster role. In resources, when you put the star, मतलब all resources. Verbs get list watch लिखा था कल. So we are putting a star, मतलब all permission to on these resources. Okay. उसके बाद we created a service account called Jenkins admin in our Jenkins namespace, and using a cluster role binding, ये role cluster role जो बनाया था उसको that role cluster role we are assigning to this service account. But अभी तक this is there, मतलब service account बन गया, उसको role दिया हमने. But we have not yet assigned this cluster role or the service account to the pod. Third step क्या बोल रहा है? Assign this service account object to a pod during its creation. If you are using external identity, that is fine. We are not using external identity. Okay, so that's a service account. I'll share this link as well. In CKD, there will be one question to create a service account and assign it a role or role binding something. Okay, so that was very important. Similar ऐसे ही कुछ होगा question. CKD specific questions we will cover, but you should know how to use this service account and the roles in a real project as well. ठीक है. So continuing to this next thing, we have created the cluster role binding and service account. The next step is create a volume. We are going to have these we are going to create a pipelines and the jobs into Jenkins, and we should have the persistent storage for that, correct? So we are going to use the persistent volume and the claim for it. Can anyone answer why do we need a persistent volume and the persistent volume claim? Or have you used any after our previous session? have you used any persistent volume or tried to create a persistent volume claim and used it for persistent storage? Okay, good. Again, quick revision because this is also important topic. PV और PVC के ऊपर question होता है in your CKD exam, and this will also help you in your CK and CKS exams as well. So this has to be clear. Managing storage is a distinct problem. If you do something into your pod and once your pod gets deleted, उसके अंदर जो भी लिखा है वो भी पूरा data चला जाएगा. So you need a persistent storage which is a external. You can consider it as a the pen drive. जब आपका लैपटॉप क्रैश हो जाता है, पेन ड्राइव और हार्ड डिस्क, इफ यू हैव बैकअप ऑफ दैट डेटा on the hard disk, hard drive or pen drive, you can always plug that into different pod and consider it as a backup. So persistent volume, same, it works as the same. You attach a persistent storage to your pod, and even your pod gets deleted, you will have the backup of your data with the help of this persistent storage. So there are multiple ways what kind of persistent volume you want to use. Either you can use a cloud-based storage, or you can use host volumes as well. Azure Disk, AWS, EBS use कर सकते हो. You can create local volumes as well, vSphere volumes as well. There are so many options. Okay. So for our Jenkins, we are going to create a local volume, and we are going to change few things here. I'll tell you कि क्या और क्यों change करने वाले हैं. So let's create a volume file. I'm copying it. First thing first, नेम स्विच चेंज कर देते हैं. जहां पे भी नेम स्विच लिखा है दैट नेम स्विच वी विल चेंज इट टू जेनकिंस. यहाँ पे है डेवऑप्स टूल्स में ही यूज कर रहे हैं हम नेम स्विच. जब हमने स्टार्टिंग में नेम स्विच बनाया था, वी क्रिएटेड अ जेनकिंस नेम स्विच, तो इसलिए आई एम चेंजिंग इट. ठीक है. And you will see the capacity provided for this persistent volume is 10 GB, but हमारे पास mini cube में इतना space नहीं है, so I'm going to change it to 1 GB and request also 1 GB. बस इतना ही change करना है. There is one more change here, where to mount or create this persistent volume. इन्होंने tag दिया है. Here is a worker node 1. We are going to, since we have only one single node here in a mini cube, which is a mini cube, we are going to provide the value as mini cube. And that instructions they have also provided here somewhere. Replace worker node 01 with any of your cluster worker node hostname. So is host pay, it will create a volume. Okay. So why do we need this volume? They are already explained here. So we are using this local storage class for purpose of demonstration and to store and to persist the data. यहाँ पे इन्होंने proper reason दिया है. If your pod gets deleted or restarted, उसके अंदर जो भी लिखा है आपने वो पूरा data चला जाता है. So if node gets deleted or pod gets deleted, you will lose all data. We don't want that. Ideally, we should have the persistent volume using available storage class. We are using a local storage, which will help us to persist our data. Whatever we are going to do inside the Jenkins, that will be persisted. So is it clear now why we are doing this persistent volume and persistent storage? That's good. So the first step is actually creating this deployment for Jenkins. जो हमारा Jenkins चलने वाला है, it is going to run as a pod inside a Kubernetes cluster. So I'm going to copy it and to show you the demo of the how to pull the images from your private registry. I'm going to do the some tweaking here. So let's try this first. सब कुछ ठीक है. And before that, let's first use the publicly available image. This Jenkins deployment is going to be created using a publicly available image, Jenkins LTS. Let's create it. उसके बाद हम चेंज करते हैं इस सेम इमेज को we will put into our registry just for a demo, and I'll show you how to pull that image from a private registry to create a Jenkins. kubectl apply -f. Did we change the namespace? No. If I forget a few things here, just remind me. तो Jenkins namespace में हमें ये बनाना है Jenkins. I change the namespace. I'll clear it, or now deploy this application using kubectl apply -f deploy.yaml. It is created. एक बार फिर से verify कर लेते कि सब कुछ बना है कि नहीं. What is there into our Jenkins namespace? kubectl get all -n Jenkins. You will see here there is Jenkins pod is in pending state. Replica set बना है, deployment भी है, सब कुछ बन गया. Okay, but it is saying pending state. Can you guys help me to figure out कि ये pending state में क्यों है and how to debug that issue? How to debug the issue if your pod is in pending state? What's the first step you will take care? Anjali is so fast. Yes, the first thing first we will do the describe of the pod. Let's do the kubectl describe pod and check what's happening to our pod. Jenkins namespace. ये क्या बोल रहा है that persistent volume claim events वाला part हमें देखना है specifically because यहाँ पे थोड़ा detail होगा. It is saying nodes are available. Persistent volume claim Jenkins PV claim not found. Preemption nodes are available, but the persistent volume claim which we are mounting here is not available. Claim name Jenkins PV claim. Let's check. I'll clear this again. kubectl get pvc -n Jenkins pv and pvc दोनों देखते हैं. Resources not found. क्या लगता है आपको क्या प्रॉब्लम हुआ है? It is saying persistent volume claim is not available, and we also checked kubectl get pvc -n Jenkins करके देखा, there is no persistent volume available. Need to assign pv, but pv is assigned by the persistent volume claim, right, to your pod. तो वो तो हमने कर दिया. If you do the describe again, you will see here कि volume claim is attached added into this pod definition deployment Jenkins deployment में add कर दिया. Volume की section में है, and it has mounted as well, but it is saying कि ये persistent volume नहीं है. Okay. You are saying कि persistent volume create करते time ये हमने बनाया नहीं. Sorry, इसको exit करता हूँ. And let's check the history first. Did we execute the SA file? kubectl apply -f क्या हमने kubectl apply -f service account store service account.yaml. Where is our YAML file? kubectl apply -f volume. No, हमने ये resources बनाए नहीं थे ना पहले. वी ओनली क्रिएटेड द फाइल बट हमने ये चलाई नहीं था कमांड। स्टोरेज क्लास बन गया, persistent वॉल्यूम क्लेम भी बन गया। नाउ वेरीफाइड अगेन, kubectl get pv pvc। नाउ यू विल सी persistent volume is available, persistent volume claim भी है। एंड इस बार फिर से चेक करते हैं, डिस्क्राइब जेनकिंस क्या बोल रहा है। इट हैज मूव टू द नेक्स्ट स्टेज, शेड्यूल हो गया, शेड्यूलिंग इज डन, इट इज नाउ पुलिंग द इमेज जेनकिंस। इसको थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा, लगने दो। लेट्स गेट द pods into jenkins and it will take some time to start a jenkins। कंटेनर क्रिएट हो रहा है। नो, मेरी इनियंसेस का इशू नहीं था, हमने वो रिसोर्सेस बनाए नहीं थे। Correct. So it will take some time to create these Jenkins and run it. थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा, लगने दो। I'll wait for it. Let's uh, let's see the dashboard now. ठीक है, here Jenkins namespace में देखते हैं कि deployment बना है कि नहीं। Well, you are seeing there is this deployment is available. It is in progressing state, है ना। Pods भी बन गए होंगे। There is one Jenkins pod in running state, and if you go inside it you will see the entire details कि condition ये कौन से state से जा रहा है। Initialize true, ready it's not ready yet, container is not ready, container ready false, pod is not ready, pod has been scheduled। सब कुछ आपको पूरा डिटेल यहाँ पे मिल रहा है। What is a persistent volume claim has been attached to this pod, what are the events available here, container का डिटेल। Okay, it is going to use the liveness probe and the readiness probe for these Jenkins to check whether it is started and running fine or not। ये याद है ना, we we saw the liveness probe and the readiness probe। अभी हमारा Jenkins it is taking some time to start our application। Okay, so we are using a liveness probe and the readiness probe. We are hitting this API inside this container 8080 port plus slash login. Whenever it gives us a success for this endpoint, then only we will consider the application is live inside this Jenkins container. And whenever it is giving a slash login success, then we will consider the Jenkins container is ready to serve the traffic। Okay. If we go back and check our deployment file, you will see here कि हमने यहाँ पे liveness and the readiness prop configure किया है। कुछ याद आ रहा है? Liveness prop, readiness prop। Okay. Now, और क्या क्या चीजें यहाँ पे, there is a service account name जो हमने service account बनाया था Jenkins admin, we have added into this deployment service account name। तो जो भी हमने cluster role और permission दिया था, that has been provided to this Jenkins pod। Now from this pod we can do git pods, list pod, कुछ भी कर सकते हैं। Okay, now our pod is ready। kubectl get pods hyphen Jenkins, you can see our pod is ready। Let's verify the logs as well, kubectl logs for the Jenkins pod, और चेक करते हैं कि next instruction क्या है। Okay, it is running, everything is fine, हमारा ये चल गया है pod। उसके बाद they are saying सर्विस अकाउंट एंड द रोल बाइंडिंग रोल, ये वाला आपको क्लियर हो गया, देन वी कैन मूव टू द नेक्स्ट सेक्शन। ओके, व्हिच इज एक्सेसिंग द जेनकिंस यूजिंग अ कुबरनेटिस सर्विसेज। तो ये सर्विसेज वाला सेक्शन हमने देखा नहीं है, बट आई विल क्विकली गिव यू ओवरव्यू कि सर्विसेज क्यों यूज करते हैं। Kubernetes services is a method for exposing network application that is running as a one or more pods into your Kubernetes cluster. हमने अभी जो Jenkins बनाया था, that application we want to expose it to our local machine from our minikube. So for that we are going to create a service. सर्विसेज के बहुत सारे टाइप्स रहते हैं क्लस्टर आईपी नोड पोर्ट लोड बैलेंसर एक्सटर्नल नेम so we'll see that in detail in next session but for now just understand कि आपका Jenkins जो है वो कंटेनर के अंदर रन हो रहा है इनसाइड अ मिनी क्यूब कंटेनर उसके अंदर एक और कंटेनर चल रहा है दैट इज द Jenkins कंटेनर we want to access that application from our MacBook या फिर local machine से and for that we are going to create a service. Okay, so the type is node port. We are using a type as a node port which will expose the Jenkins on all Kubernetes nodes IPs on port 32,000. You can give any port between 30,000 to 32656 something. Or if you don't provide it, automatically the Kubernetes will assign the node port. So it is basically it is going to expose your Jenkins service onto Kubernetes available nodes on this port number so that you can access your application on this port. If you have an ingress setup, you can create an ingress rule. Okay, let's skip that thing and we'll create a service for our Jenkins. vi service.yaml. सेम थिंग हमें ये सर्विस हमारे नेमस्पेस में बनाना पड़ेगा. Jenkins is our namespace. Let's I'll remove this कि Kubernetes को assign करने दो एक random port between that range. Okay, kubectl apply -f hpc.yaml. And you can see here kubectl get pod deploy service -n Jenkins. आप यहाँ पे देखोगे कि एक पोर्ट असाइन हो गया on this node and we can access our application on this port Jenkins application. But इस सर्विस को पता कैसे चल रहा है कि जो भी ट्रैफिक आएगा on this port it needs to forward the traffic onto port 8080 of Jenkins. So quick overview about that. जो हमने लेबल सर्च सिलेक्टर जो हमने सीखा था that is coming here. यहाँ पे यूजफुल हो रहा है. Whatever the labels we are providing into our deployment YAML file, वो label attach हो जाते हैं with the pods and the deployment के लिए वो attach हो जाता है. With the service, what we are doing, जो भी request आ रहा है on this service, that request we are forwarding to the matched labels. Selector use कर रहे हैं. We are matching these labels using these selectors or that those requests from browser या फिर जो भी user से आ रहे हैं that we are going to forward the traffic to the pods which has this label and कहाँ पे भेजना है on 8080 port और हमारे Jenkins कहाँ पे चल रहा है on 8080 port कंटेनर के अंदर यहाँ पे चल रहा है. You can see here Jenkins is running on 8080 port. Okay. So that's how this connection is happening. Service हम सर्विस के एंड पॉइंट को हिट करेंगे एंड सर्विस इज गोइंग टू इंटरनली फॉरवर्ड दैट रिक्वेस्ट टू द अवेलेबल पॉड्स एंड फॉर इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू फॉरवर्ड दैट टू द रैंडम पॉड्स. जिस भी पॉड को ये लेबल मैच होगा उसी पॉड को रिक्वेस्ट भेजा जाएगा and again it is not going to forward the traffic to these matched pods but it is going to forward the traffic to the this available target port only. Correct. Otherwise if it sends this traffic to the different port or जहाँ पे Jenkins नहीं चल रहा है then we will get a error. Because of that we are going to specify the target port of the container here. Okay, that is done. इसके बाद क्या बोल रहे कि हमारा क्लस्टर रोल हो गया, रोल बाइंडिंग सर्विस अकाउंट हो गया. We created a persistent volume, we created a deployment, pod बन गया हमारे, services बन गया. Then to access your Jenkins, what they are saying, first you need to check the pods whether everything is running fine. We can always use the dashboard और यहाँ से check कर सकते हैं कि Jenkins namespace में Jenkins हमारा properly चल रहा है. We have this deployment, everything is healthy, memory and the CPU is everything fine. Services, Jenkins services, okay. Now to access our Jenkins from a minikube हमें पता है we need to do minikube service. Provide the service name. Service name is Jenkins service and provide the Jenkins namespace. It will open a tab to access our Jenkins. Okay. Whenever you are going to set up the Jenkins for the first time, it is going to ask you to set up the initial admin password. It will ask you for the initial admin password, which is stored inside this directory or this file inside a Jenkins container. So there are two ways to get this initial admin password. I'll clean up this. Either you can check the logs of the Jenkins जो starting में ये print कर देता है logs में Jenkins pod में typical logs of the Jenkins, or you can go inside that Jenkins and check the password anytime. Okay. ये log हमने check किया and here is our first administrator password. And they are also saying कि आप अगर container के अंदर जाओगे and check this file, it will be also present there. So quickly tell me how to go inside the pod, Jenkins pod, and check the administrator password. kubectl exec it, correct. तो करते kubectl exec -it और check करके the file for the content. So what will I do? kubectl exec -id, provide the pod name and the namespace is Jenkins. और हमें क्या करना है cat this file. Okay. तो हमें सेम पासवर्ड मिल गया. दिस पासवर्ड वी कैन पुट इनटू आवर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर पासवर्ड फील्ड. ओके. इट इज इंस्टॉलिंग सम प्लगइन्स. ये प्लगइन्स जो हमने बोला था कि ये यू कैन डू इंटीग्रेशन विद गिट, यू कैन डू द इंटीग्रेशन विद ईमेल, स्लैक, एसएसएच, जीमेल एंड क्रेडल, मेवन टूल्स के साथ आप इंटीग्रेशन कर सकते हैं. So that is happening because of the plugins which are available for a Jenkins. तो इसको थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा. Let it take some time. The second part which I wanted to there are two more concepts I want to cover is a resource request and the limit, and also how to push or pull your images into Docker registry. Okay, so if we do that now, तो फिर थोड़ा easy हो जाएगा. We'll pull the image, Jenkins image, and push that same image into AWS ECR और same image use करते हैं. So open your Amazon account. Login कर लो. मेरा account, I'm logging using my account, and के अंदर एक हम registry बनाएंगे. जैसे हमारा डॉकर हब था, डॉकर हब पे पब्लिकली अवेलेबल इमेजेस है. यू कैन आल्सो क्रिएट योर प्राइवेट रजिस्ट्री. एंड सिमिलरली ये जो क्लाउड प्रोवाइडर्स है लाइक अमेजॉन, AWS, GCP और एक Azure, they also provides the private container registry and the public registry, so you can use that as well. So let's create a registry for our एप्लीकेशन. जेनकिंस का इमेज ही डेमो दिखाने वाला है. यू कैन क्रिएट एनीथिंग जेनकिंस. सो दिस इज अ सर्विस. ओके, Amazon Elastic Container Registry, which is to share deploy container software publicly or privately. And it's a fully managed container registry. आपको कुछ भी नहीं करना है. This will be managed by the AWS. It helps us to manage your registry and the images. Okay. It's a secure, it's highly available. You can use it with the ECS, EKS, or your local machines as well. So we are going to create this repository, private, and we are going to provide a name called Jenkins. बस और कुछ नहीं करना है. स्कैन और पुश इसको इनेबल कर देता है. क्रिएट रिपोजिटरी, ये हमारा बन गया प्राइवेट रजिस्ट्री. इफ यू सिलेक्ट हियर you will see the push commands as well. How to connect to this registry? I'm going to connect to this registry and pull our Jenkins image into this registry. Okay, so let me connect to this account. Amazon ECR git login password. Region is EU Central 1. We are doing a Docker login to login into this registry. And उसके बाद the second step is Docker build -t Jenkins. But this is not mandatory for us because we already have our Docker image ready. So we will skip this. And the third step is tagging your Docker image. Let's verify हमारे पास कौन से images है, Docker images. The image which we are interested is Jenkins. हमारा जो image है that's in Minikube actually. So what I'm going to do, let me check. ये जो हमने डिप्लॉयमेंट के लिए जो इमेज बनाया था अभी, तो वही सेम इमेज हम पुल कर लेते हैं. कौन सा इमेज था? Jenkins/Jenkins LTS. इसी इमेज को पहले पुल कर लेते हैं, डॉकर पुल, and same image we will push into our registry. This is just for a demo. You don't need to pull these images. If you are working on your company project or personal project, you don't want to publicly avail those images to everyone. So for that, you will use a private registry for a better security, right? Otherwise, if you make your personal project Docker image available for everyone, they can see your code. They can do the tweaking as well. They can see what they can find the loopholes, and they can maybe they can also hack your containers or the Docker images. Anything they can do, right? So you need to have your images, personal project or the company project images into Docker registry. So we are going to tag this tag format very simple, Docker tag, and this is our image, Docker images, grep Jenkins. This is our image. इसको हम tag करेंगे to push this image into Jenkins. और ये जो पाथ दिया इन्होंने रजिस्ट्री का, सेम पाथ देना है हमें. Latest, or we can put a v1 as well. Cover it, Jenkins latest. This correct tag देना है. हमारे जो local image का tag है, that is LTS. There will be one more image created here. You can see कि जो local image था Jenkins LTS, same image को हमने tag कर दिया with this tag. Now you can push this image with the same tag. Docker push is pushing the image. This happens when you don't have a permission to push the image mainly. So it will keep on going. What will I do? Um, I'll create a temporary credentials and delete it immediately. Okay, I need to first authenticate AWS, AWS configure. So we are going to use this is not advisable that I'm using my root user credentials. नहीं advisable नहीं है तो फिर आपको भी नहीं बताना है. So I'll create a separate user. ठीक है. Demo Jenkins demo नाम का एक user बना लेता हूँ and that users credentials we will use for the authentication. Create this user. एक यूजर बन गया हमारा जेनकिंस डेमो. हम क्या करेंगे इसका सिक्योरिटी क्रेडेंशियल्स एपीआई की एक्सेस की बनाएंगे टू ऑथेंटिकेट टू विद द एडब्ल्यूएस. नेक्स्ट इज डिस्क्रिप्शन वैल्यू. दिस इज माय एक्सेस की एंड एपीआई की. फिर से एक बार पुश करने का ट्राई कर दे रहे इमेज. वेटिंग प्रिपेयरिंग रिट्राइंग which means still this user don't have permission to push the image. So what we'll do, एक और additional permission assign कर देते हैं this for this user. Add policy ECR policy जो भी है. Container registry full access ये वाला permission दे देते हैं so that this user can push the images. No, not it. Let me debug this. We'll go to the AWS documentation, ECR for image full secret. This is the exact documentation we are going to use. It's how to pull and push the images to the Amazon ECR. तो इन्होंने दिया होगा कि बेसिक परमिशन क्या होना चाहिए आपके AWS SAM यूजर को. इंस्टॉल हेम चार्ट वगैरह ठीक है. Amazon इमेजेस ये वाला नहीं. Pushing an image to the private registry. Required IAM permission for pushing an image. इतने सारे परमिशंस लगते हैं इसको. ओके. ECR का फुल एक्सेस दे दिया हमने. बट ये भी परमिशन देते हैं. ओके. ECR completed layer upload get authorization token. This is a level of security this AWS is providing. It's very helpful. Okay, so what we'll do, we need to provide these permissions. Okay. Add permissions. Attach policy. Let's find out. It needs a ECR permission, more permission related to ECR. Container registry related. So public container registry, public full access, multi-container Docker registry, public for user, public read only, all these things are here, but हमने already दे दिया है सारे permission. Let me add few more rules here and try again. Failed to add permissions. Jenkins cannot attach a service role to an IAM user. ठीक हो गया. Give admin role for a while. Yeah, admin role I have already provided, but still it's not working. It's a full role, right? Administrator. I already provided the full administrator access, but to push the image, it requires the specific access. Okay, हमने रोल अपडेट कर दिया, but we also need to authenticate it again. फिर से एक बार लॉगिन करते हैं. Cannot connect to endpoint. Sorry. हमने permissions update कर दिया है, but we need to log in again to refresh the tokens. So let's go back to the ECR and हमारा जो registry था, it was in different region, EU central one, correct? So let's get the push command, login again. फिर से करते हैं docker push. हो जा. Yeah, now it's working. It was permission only, but command from the AWS documentation, but then later I use the push command from here. थर्ड डॉक्यूमेंटेशन होगा यहाँ पे और इमेज पुल सीक्रेट. Okay, so wherever we are putting that pod definition ना, उसके अंदर एक छोटा सेक्शन ऐड करना पड़ता है. That will let's see in few seconds. इसको पुश होने दो. I think this will be a good documentation. This one. सो आपका जो पॉड या फिर डिप्लॉयमेंट का जो सेक्शन होता है ना, जो टेम्पलेट वाला सेक्शन होता है, सो इसमें वी नीड टू ऐड वन क्रेडेंशियल. जो डॉकर रजिस्ट्री को कनेक्ट करने के लिए क्रेडेंशियल्स क्रिएट करना पड़ता है, that we will need to create and add this section called image pull secret. And here we are going to provide the secret name. So that is fine. ये पूरा डिटेल आपकी Kubernetes डॉक्यूमेंटेशन में भी है, Kubernetes image pull secret, pulling an image from a private registry. तो कैसे करते हैं, इन्होंने दिया है, we need to create a secret first. kubectl create secret generic registry credentials. We need to provide the registry server address and then username and the password. Okay. And that secret, whatever the secret we are going to create, we need to put that into our template, maybe in deployment or a pod file, and provide the reference of that secret to login. Because since this is a private registry, we can't get the images directly. We need to authenticate to that registry first, correct? And this will cover a secret part as well. कल हमने देखा था the secret. Why do we need secret to send? We need secrets to store sensitive information, and these registry credentials are sensitive. We don't want to share these registry credentials with everyone. To access a private container, which will be so what we are going to do, we are going to create a secret. That time we use the differences type. Our credential name is registry credentials. We need to provide the Docker server, which will be our private registry address, username, and password. So let me check Docker registry credential for AWS system. Private registry authentication for Docker CLI. ये हमें डॉक्यूमेंटेशन में कमांड मिल जाएगी. The URL Docker registry URL is our private registry, and we also need to provide the username and the password. That will be access key and the why there is not proper help here. No, I don't want this one. I need a command which can help us to create a secret. There are multiple ways actually to create this secret. We can use a helper, credential helper repository as well, and we just need to provide the credential file, AWS access key, and the secret key. but instead of that, I want direct command. Image full secret. Okay, so this is something which we want to try it out. Use a AWS Secret Manager to create a secret for our private registry credentials. We need to create one secret, username and a password. So let's create it. Plain text अभी temporarily कुछ नाम दे देते हैं, and that secret we will attach with our private registry, and same thing we will use into our credentials as well. You know, what's the time? Okay. नेट बहुत स्लो चल रहा है आज. We need to create a secret, private registry secret into secret store, secret manager. What's happening here? Okay, store a new secret. Create a secret for our private registry. Plain text. Username and password. Sagar, and password is maybe test1234. Next, secret name is we will give us some name to our secret. Production my awesome secret, and let's create it. Store. उसके बाद we need to attach the same secret to our private registry. Register a task definition under private registry. Turn on private registry authentication. Then in secret manager ARN or name, we need to provide this one. हमारा private registry यहाँ पे है. Where is it? Sorry. Here. In here, we need to enable task definition. We need to add a task definition. Private registry, turn on private registry authentication. Secret का चार्ज लगेगा वो देख. Okay, this is done, and we need to attach it. So permission में तो ये नहीं है. Does anyone know where is this task definition? private registry, permission pull through cache replication, scanning configuration. शायद मेरा ये फ्री टियर अकाउंट है तो कुछ ऑप्शंस अवेलेबल नहीं है लगता है. No. But yeah, so that's the thing which we need to do the next. ये जो हमने अभी credentials जो बनाया था, using that credentials we need to create a secret. This is our command, kubectl create secret. I think I'll need to check it again because मेरे free tier account से ये नहीं दिख रहा है. Docker email, you can skip it, it's not required. Get fit with Sagar to 3 at 66@gmail.com. So this I'll keep for assignment. Maybe you can try it out. And here you need to provide the secret username and the password which we just created for authentication of our private registry. Sagar tha username. And the registry server is our private registry address. Let's provide that address. The private registry address you can find out from here. Okay. We may not be able to use as it is because हमने ये last वाला step complete नहीं किया है. But you can see here that there is one secret created. Got created. We need to create it in Jenkins instance. Okay, let's verify it. kubectl get secret in -Jenkins. तो ये डेमो दिखा देता हूँ मैं, but it will not work right now. Okay. So ये जो हमारा containers वाला section है, ये template वाला section है. Here only you will need to add one more section called image pull secrets as it is given here in most of the documentation. Our step is correct. We have created a secret. Now that secret we need to pass into our YAML file, image pull secrets, and give name to your secret, and that will work. Okay. Since we are not able to finish the last step here, ये जो private registry को assign करना था, हमारा secret, it will not work. That's fine. Creating a task definition using a console, यहाँ पे भी है option. I think they are telling about the ECS, but we are not using ECS. Fine. Let's keep it for now. We have our Jenkins ready. Let's get back to our Jenkins, which we have created using publicly available Docker image. Fine, no worries. Test 1, 2, 3, 4 password है मेरा. If you want, you can try it out. Sagar366@gmail.com. At least Jenkins का setup तो finish कर लेते हैं. This is our Jenkins URL, and this is how Jenkins looks like. Guys, Jenkins is ready. Jenkins setup is completed. We have this Jenkins running in our Kubernetes cluster. You can see. You can go to the Jenkins namespace, and there you will find all the pods, deployment, service, and many more resources related to Jenkins जो भी हमने अभी तक create किया था. Everything we just revised it. जो जितना भी हमने अभी तक पहले वाले सेशन में कवर किया था. So Jenkins में हमने starting में बोला था that it will help you to integrate, do the testing, and it will help you to deploy the application. That will need an entire class to explain you the Jenkins. But since our Jenkins is ready, I'm going to show you the small demo of how to run your Spring Boot application into your Jenkins. तो एक freestyle job बना लेते हैं, freestyle project, Jenkins Spring Boot. We'll select the type of the project, the item as a freestyle project. पाइपलाइन में यू कैन जो हमने स्टार्टिंग में देखा था, देयर विल बी मल्टीपल स्टेजेस एंड स्टेप्स, those will come into pipeline, but freestyle is something which where you will write a simple script for integrating your project. Okay, I have created this freestyle project, and you can give some description. Spring Boot demo. You will give a URL to your GitHub project. मेरा एक project है यहाँ पे somewhere, Spring Boot application. Let me check. You can deploy any kind of application, but वो वहाँ पे install होना चाहिए. Projects Python Mongo not here. Is it in CKD folder? Just give me a moment. I'll check कि आज कुछ push हुआ था क्या? Yeah, it's in Git with Sagar. It's a small Hello World project. Spring Boot based project है. Jenkins, and this is a Hello World Java file. It's not even a Spring Boot. It's simple Hello World. So to run this application, if you want to run this application locally, so we would have compiled it first using javac hello world.java command, और उसके बाद हमने execute किया होता using java hello world command. Okay, so we are going to automate this process. Similar like this, there will be multiple steps. You might be installing some packages or the dependencies required for your big projects. So that also you can do automation. You can do with this CI/CD pipeline. So this is a small Hello World application. We are going to clone this or put this URL into our Jenkins project URL. Git will provide the repository URL. Credentials we don't need because it's a publicly available repository. Branch, our code is in main branch, so we are going to change the branch from master to main. And okay, that's it. So in a build step, you can put the commands which you actually want to run. Okay, we'll start with simple step. ls-l करके देखते हैं कि क्या होता है. Just click on build now, and it will start this build here. देखते हैं कि क्या हुआ यहाँ पे. It has created one workspace for our project Jenkins Spring Boot, and after that it has cloned a code from our public repository get with Sagar. पूरा code इसने clone कर लिया. We put one command ls-l, वो वाला command हमारे प्रोजेक्ट में से एग्जीक्यूट हुआ है, एंड यू कैन सी हियर कि हमारा पूरा का पूरा कोड जो गिटहब में था दैट इज क्लोन्ड इनटू जेनकिंस इनसाइड अ जेनकिंस. उसके बाद हमें क्या करना था, वी वांटेड टू रन कमांड जावा सी हेलो वर्ल्ड डॉट जावा एंड जावा हेलो वर्ल्ड टू रन आवर एप्लीकेशन. करेक्ट, ये जो हमने कमांड देखा था to compile our code and to execute our code from our Jenkins. So we are going to put those commands again into our script javac hello world.java and java hello world. ls-l कर लेते हैं because after running this, after compiling your code, it will create one class file which you can run to execute your application. That's what we are doing. तो run कर लेते हैं हमारा code. Build now again, and it will create one more build. ये क्या बोल रहे हैं? It has failed. File not found. Hello world.java. What do you guys think कि क्या प्रॉब्लम हुआ है अभी? या ECS वगैरह वो टास्क डेफिनेशन करेक्ट. आई कंप्लीटली फॉरगॉटन कि हमें टास्क डेफिनेशन नहीं यूज करना है. या रिपोजिटरी यूआरएल करेक्ट. रिपोजिटरी यूआरएल करेक्ट है. हमारा जो डायरेक्टरी जो है राइट नाउ वी आर इनसाइड अ मेन डायरेक्टरी कॉल्ड गेट विद सागर ls-l करके देगा. सो फर्स्ट वी नीड टू चेंज इट टू जेनकिंस फोल्डर. जेनकिंस फोल्डर के अंदर हमारा hello world.java फाइल है. build it again, and इस बार ये पूरा चल गया. Okay. So this is the automation, very small automation. I don't know whether you will feel like using a Jenkins after this, but yeah, just imagine this very small step. If you do the some changes into your code base, you want to trigger a automatic build, you want to build your code पैकेज बनाना है, डॉकर इमेजेस बनाना है, आपका एप्लीकेशन Kubernetes पे जाना है, एंड टू एंड एक CI/CD पाइपलाइन बनना चाहिए. So all these things can be possible with the Jenkins. You need to write the Jenkins file or create a pipeline or create a freestyle job, and it will do automation for you. It will work as automated process. You don't need to go anywhere to be dependent on anywhere to run your application or to test your application, to create your containers. पूरा process लिखा होगा, सारे commands लिखे होंगे. It will just pull the code from your GitHub and do everything for you. Okay. Yeah. So that's the Jenkins, guys. You can try it out for more complex project. Since we have very limited time, I want to cover the monitoring part as well. Monitoring आपको याद है? It's a quick revision for the people who were not able to attend that session. So we are going to install Prometheus and Grafana. हमारे पास already ये है Kubernetes dashboard, but this will be additional setup which we will have for monitoring our Kubernetes cluster and the resources inside it. Let install this Grafana. Steps are very simple. We are going to add the repository. उसके बाद we are going to install the Prometheus Helm chart. Okay, Helm chart ready hai. It has installed all the required resources required to run the Prometheus. We'll expose this Prometheus. Expose हो गया, and इसको first we will, after that we'll run the Grafana as well. Grafana का repository add कर देते हैं. Grafana का Helm chart install कर लेते हैं using Helm install command. If you want to check how and why do we need Prometheus Grafana, we already have had one session on Kubernetes cluster monitoring using Prometheus Grafana. Just check it out. आज हम सिर्फ command directly run करें because everything we already covered. Okay, so as you know, Grafana को connect करने के लिए we need a password. That password is stored in one of the secret called Grafana. Right? That secret we are getting here. So this is how you can keep a sensitive information about your resources or the application into secrets. Okay. And as we discussed, it's not a actual encryption. It is just a encoding. Base 64 encoded code. So this is thing. Let's expose our services. Prometheus and Grafana को expose कर लेते हैं from different dashboards actually. Okay, this will open a Prometheus, and similarly we will open in Grafana as well. Different tab. यहाँ पे हमारा Jenkins चल रहा है. यहाँ पे हमारा Kubernetes dashboard है, and here maybe we can run our Grafana. It will open Prometheus Grafana for us. और एक टर्मिनल ओपन कर लेते हैं to check the pods and the services status. kubectl git pods and service. Okay, Prometheus is up, Grafana is also up. It will open this. If not, we will open it. Okay, यहाँ पे है हमारा Grafana. Admin का पासवर्ड दे देते हैं to access this. admin password is Samir here, right? Prometheus, and this is Jenkins, Grafana. Okay, this is our admin password. Let's get the admin password for Grafana. We are inside a Grafana. First thing first, हमें data source configure करना पड़ेगा. Since we are Prometheus is a component which is going to pull the metrics from Kubernetes cluster, and we need to connect to the Prometheus or pull those metrics or show those metrics into form of graphs and charts in the Grafana. So we'll need to configure it. Configure the your data source, add data source Prometheus, set up the URL. Okay, our Prometheus is running on the port 80. So we'll put the Prometheus URL here, http colon Prometheus. क्या है सर्विस का नाम? Prometheus server colon 80, and let's check verified whether it is able to connect or not. Yeah, successfully connected. Create some dummy, some sample dashboard, not dummy, sorry. Create a dashboard from scratch, or you can also import it. 6267 को डाउनलोड कर लेते हैं. Dashboard not found. We need to provide the ID 6417. Is a dashboard which has all the widgets already created for Kubernetes. So this is how it is looking. Correct. और हमने लास्ट सेशन में देखा था कि इसके कुछ मैट्रिक्स का नाम चेंज हो गया. For that you will need to configure your this dashboard again, change few things here and there. Metrics का नाम आपको proper change करना पड़ेगा because this dashboard was created very long back, and after that there has been a lot of changes into Prometheus metrics names. तो आपको change करना पड़ेगा into your Grafana. ओके, यहाँ पे आप चेंज कर लोगे तो फिर आपका ये पूरा डैशबोर्ड डेटा दिखाएगा. मे बी CPU request and unity score. Here also we'll change the metric name, and unit is equal to core, and it will start showing the proper details. Correct. ये पहले नहीं दिखा रहा था because we were using a wrong metric name. आपको ये change करना पड़ेगा and it will show all the details. It's not a fancy dashboard. You can try it out, set it up this Prometheus and Grafana on your Kubernetes cluster. Try to get the details. Try to create a widget, meaningful widgets to monitor your Kubernetes cluster, and just do hands-on. आप जब hands-on करोगे तभी आपको ये और clear होगा. So yeah, so that's about these secrets, service accounts, rollbacks, role bindings, सब कुछ. आज हमने जितना भी सीखा था पॉड डिप्लॉयमेंट सब कुछ कवर कर लिया. जो प्राइवेट रजिस्ट्री का जो ऑथेंटिकेशन था दैट विल चेक लेटर. मे बी आई create a private registry locally, और we'll also check कि इसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम हुआ था. ठीक है, because we are over the time, I'll stop here. Yes guys, that's it for today. Do you have any questions? or take that as an assignment to pull the images from your private registry. आपको deployment Kubernetes side का मैंने बता दिया. You need to create a secret, and how to create secret, that also I have shown. How to add that secret to pull the image into your pod, that also I have shown you. You need to add one more field called image pull secrets. I'll close this. ये बहुत अभी confusion हो रहा है ना. Okay, no. ठीक है. I think I can show you as well. We'll create this secret, and the username is a AWS, and the password will get that using a ECR get login password command. ये जो I think that entire command was here only. The login we did, right? Username was here. Password command was also here. So we'll just replace it. Sorry. So let's finish that part of it. हमारा Jenkins हो गया अभी. Grafana monitoring setup is also done. We are going to recreate a secret. पहले वाला secret delete कर देता. Delete the secret. Register create -name Jenkins के अंदर जो secret बनाया था उसको delete कर दिया. We are going to create a secret. Namespace Jenkins. Password we are going to get using AWS ECR get login password तो हमें मिल जाएगा. Our username is AWS, and our registry URL is, we are going to get that registry URL from our portal. So this is our registry URL, right? ये वाला जो है. This is our registry URL. .com. Okay. Let's created a secret for us. Verify कर लेते एक बार. XCTL get secret -name Jenkins. Secret ready. I'll stop the video because सॉरी फॉर मेकिंग यू वेट, बट अभी जो बोला है हमने कि प्राइवेट रजिस्ट्री वाला भी देख लेते हैं. हाउ टू push your images, that we have seen, how to push images to private registry, how to create a private registry, but then how to use those images from a private registry into your deployment. Okay, so हमारा I'm going to stop here. ये जो हमने टर्मिनल ओपन किया था, there was one folder. सारी सर्विसेज स्टॉप कर देता हूँ. Jenkins demo. Here we have one deployment YAML file which actually starts our Jenkins, correct? यहाँ पे instead of using this image which is publicly available, we are going to use our private image, private registry image use कर लेते हैं. So I'm changing this Jenkins LTS private image. These are Jenkins. Okay. व्यू पुश कमांड, यहाँ पे हमें पूरा रजिस्ट्री ये इमेज का नाम मिल जाएगा. ओनली थिंग इज वी नीड टू चेंज द टैग, और एज आई सेड देयर इज वन फील्ड यू नीड टू ऐड टू पुल द इमेजेस फ्रॉम योर प्राइवेट रजिस्ट्री, which is image pull secrets. That will come into your pod template section, pod speak. Okay, you can put that here as well. यहाँ पे हमें ऐड कर देते हैं pod की template में. Image is pull secrets, and to authenticate with your private registry we are going to use this same secret. और एक try कर लेते हैं to update the image or from our private registry. Configure हो गया. Let's check pods ready है कि नहीं, and whether it has changed our pod or not. So it is creating a pod using our new image. Error pull image बोल रहा है, which means we are doing something wrong. वेरीफाई कर लेते कि क्या रॉन्ग है. kubectl describe pod. एरर आते हैं तो मजा आता है थोड़ा. We get to learn. Your authentication token is invalid. Repository does not exist or may request docker login denied. ठीक है, जो हमने पास ऑन किया है the registry path that they are saying it's incorrect. Image name was correct. Account ID you push command में we have this command password login. It region is EU Central 1. Did we provide the correct region while creating a secret? ये सारे टैब्स ओपन करके रखे. तो क्या रीजन हमने करेक्ट प्रोवाइड किया था? We didn't provide the region actually. So इस सीक्रेट को अपडेट कर लेते हैं या फिर डिलीट करके फिर से रिक्रिएट करके. kubectl delete secret, kubectl create secret, registry credentials -- docker server these. AWS region is EU Central 1. Docker username is AWS. And the password is this AWS CCR git login password. Namespace is Jenkins. Let's hope for this to work now. kubectl delete. Pod. Deleting. Error image pool. मतलब this is not able to, this thing is not able to pull the image. kubectl describe pod. हमारा configuration correct है. I think it is related to some permission issue. If we try to pull this image without this from outside, docker pull करके देखते हैं. Docker pull. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it has pulling from Jenkins. Image is up to date for this. फिर Docker server. So what mistake we are doing exactly? AWS account, username, password, namespace correct. This command would utilize the AWS and save the generated secrets in Docker registry. Correct. We have done it. But still, via this Jenkins, it's not working. Sorry, this Kubernetes, it's not working. kubectl delete pod. kubectl delete deploy. Jenkins फिर से एक बार क्रिएट करके देखते हैं. kubectl apply -f deploy.yaml. Deployment created. Stop one मतलब अभी भी pod नहीं बन रहा है. It is saying error pool image. Either we are providing the wrong credentials. और नेम गलत दे रहे होंगे. तो secret कौन सा यूज हो रहा है यहाँ पे? You can see that the secret it's using is a registry credentials. No, 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 no. Hmm. Yeah, I'll need to try it out. I thought कि ये हो जाएगा. We have already everything is correct, but still there is something wrong with the credentials which we are providing. Registry credentials. Fine. I'll fix it and then I'll share the fix with you guys. Okay. Yeah. So that's it for today. I think we took a lot of time, but एक issue अभी भी बाकी है. Let's see. Yeah, someone is name syntax. प्रांजल कुछ सजेस्ट करें आप टू फिक्स. नेम गलत दिया है क्या मैंने? ओके. डिप्लॉयमेंट डॉट यामल में यू आर सेइंग hyphen name colon registry credential. It's correct thing, right? We need to provide the key value pair into it's a YAML file. Yeah, it's a correct syntax, but no worries. I'll fix it और आपको बताता हूँ कि क्या प्रॉब्लम हुआ होगा. Thank you guys. Any questions? And you can also try it out. All these tutorials जो भी हमने अभी तक पढ़ा है, just keep on learning. And yes, solution नहीं मिला, but at least we learned the troubleshooting part. पीपीटी आज तो हमने कोई पीपीटी रेफर ही नहीं किया ना. आई थिंक हाँ ठीक है. जो पहले का डे 11 के बाद आई हैव नॉट अपडेटेड एनी पीपीटी. वी आर लर्निंग एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम अ डॉक्यूमेंटेशन ओनली. बट जितना भी है रेडी पीपीटी दैट आई विल अपलोड ऑन द पोर्टल आफ्टर दिस सेशन. आफ्टर दैट यू कैन चेक इट. ओके. यस. थैंक यू गाइस. हैव अ वंडरफुल वीकेंड. जितना भी बचा है एंजॉय कर लो एंड सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट सेशन. या बैच डिस्काउंट अभी एक्सपायर हो जाएगा. इट्स लास्ट डे टू रजिस्टर फॉर बैच 2 विद लर्न 75 कूपन कोड. अब अगर इफ यू वांट टू enroll for it, today is a day. It's almost full, so maybe I'll close the registration for batch 2 soon. And जो अभी 75 वाला डिस्काउंट है that will also expire today. ठीक है. If no questions, we'll wind up sessions. Ganesh, batch 2 sessions are going to start. First session will be on 29. Yeah, this Saturday, upcoming Saturday. Okay, if you are enjoying these sessions, CKD sessions, please give a review on the Graphic platform and also share the channel with your friends. Like, share, subscribe. Um, थोड़ा motivation मुझे भी मिल जाएगा because it takes a lot of time to prepare the content and you know it's not the reason why you should share, subscribe, but if you are enjoying it, then definitely do it. I want to try the one last thing. अगर आप if you guys are waiting, हम एक बार admin credentials से try कर लेते हैं. Delete this. Create access key using the admin user and use these credentials. फिर से एक बार login कर लेते हैं. AWS configure. Maybe admin, ये मुझे हमारे नए यूजर का इशू लग रहा है. Like this user don't have permission. You ये देखो हमने यूजर और रीजन गलत सेट किया था. US2 था डिफरेंट रीजन. We had to change it to EU Central 1. ठीक है, अब लगता है इस बार हो जाएगा. Let's let's try to deploy it again. Verify करते हैं. Jenkins container creating error image pool. This user also has this issue. तो जो हमने यूजर यूज किया था यहाँ पे, that also we need to change now. Delete the secret and create the secret again using the new user. EU Central 1 अभी use होगा and maybe this time it will fix it. Delete deployment, apply it. Yes, that was the issue. हम गलत रीजन स्पेसिफाई कर रहे थे. Physical describe for FNL Jenkins. Yes, it has pulled the image. Are you guys there? Wonderful. At the end, we are able to fix that issue. जो हमने AWS कॉन्फ़िगर करते टाइम जो रीजन दिया था ना, वो अलग था. एंड द रीजन वेयर आर ECR इज इमेज इज प्रेजेंट, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट रीजन. तो इसकी वजह से वो कॉन्फ़िगरेशन नहीं चल रहा था. वी set the proper configuration for a region and the ECR and now it's working. You will see here कि हमारा container is in running state. इसको थोड़ा टाइम लगता है, आपको पता है, but it will get created. I will just expose it. Minikube service, Jenkins service, and Jenkins. क्या बोले? Jenkins service was not found in the Jenkins Minikube service list. Spelling mistake हो रही है भाई आज. Service has named Jenkins. It will start और Jenkins fresh start होगा अभी. सागर नाम था, सागर, and password is test1234. क्या था password? test1234. Sagar.Utekar username and password is 123 test1234. Okay, that's how we fix the issue. and Jenkins is running. You can see how did we use the private registry image into our Kubernetes cluster. आपको image push करना है. It can be any image. Just to show you the demo, I push the image of the Jenkins, push that into the private registry called Amazon ECR, and to use that image, first I created the secret. Create करने के लिए what I did, I ran the command kubectl create secret, and I created a secret of type Docker registry and gave the name registry credentials, reads credentials. Docker server is your private registry URL. उसके बाद username is AWS and the password is, we are getting the password using this. We are creating this secret in a Jenkins namespace. Secret बन गया हमारा properly. Before that, you need to do the AWS configure. Make sure you remember that. Once that is done, you can put that secret to pull that image, a private registry image, into your deployment file using registry credential. Okay, कहीं भी यहाँ पे होगा वो registry credentials vi deployment.yaml file. So here we provided that secret because आपको पता है कि ये container का steps कैसे होता है ना? First it schedules that container, then it will pull the image locally. If you check the describe as well. So whenever it was scheduling, it has scheduled this container to Minikube. Then it was trying to pull that image. Because of the wrong credentials, it was not able to pull. And वो error image pull वाला issue आ रहा था. After that, we fixed that issue. It is able to pull that image. Container हमारा बन गया. Create हो गया, start हो गया. Everything is sorted. Yes, maybe, yes, correct. Never give up. Correct. And that's how we become a good DevOps or SRE engineer. Panic नहीं होना है. Stay calm. थोड़ा सा walk ले लो. Take a sip of water. Listen to music. That's what I do. अगर कई कबार ऐसे होता है कि I'm not able to fix the issue, or instead of getting a panic, just take a walk. Just stay away from that work for some time. You'll get an idea. You'll get some time to start thinking freshly. And एक कुछ जादू है इस idea doing this thing कि when you get away from work for some time and come back, आपका issue solve हो जाता है. I think this has happened with me so many times. I don't get panic. पूरा काम रहना है, थोड़ा सा walk ले लो, थोड़ा सा आराम कर लो, and then come back. You will think freshly. आपका mind थोड़ा clear हो जाएगा, and then you can start working again. DevOps and SRE engineer may you'll find this kind of issues lot many times, and that's the beauty about it. हमें बहुत कुछ सीखने के लिए मिलता है. अभी आपने अभी देखा होगा, everything I'm showing you is from the documentation because I want you guys to learn from the documentation. PPT वगैरह शेयर कर दूंगा. Whatever I am learning, I read blogs, books, watch conferences, go to conferences, सब कुछ मिला के I deliver these sessions. And batch 2 में तो बहुत बहुत मजा आने वाला है. That I can assure. So I want my students to start learning themselves as well. As I said, I can't be everywhere for you. I want you to be very self-sufficient. कोई भी issue आ जाए, just don't panic. Documentation है. हमें उस level पे पहुंचना है where we can learn the things and we can fix the issues on ourselves. When we ask for a help, even in a team, तो क्या होता है ना? If I am your teammate, so I would love to see what you have done prior coming to ask for a help, and then I'll add my inputs. If you come directly कि सागर मुझे ये help कर दो, this is my problem, तो थोड़ा अच्छा नहीं लगेगा because you are directly asking for a help without doing anything, without taking any efforts, है ना? So DevOps batch 2 में बहुत मजा आने वाला है because I'm going to teach you from everything from scratch. But जो that's a limited time. I want you guys to be try out lot many things apart from the classes as well. जो भी होगा हम सीखने वाले. What people are using into production environment. There was some discussion going on in our group as well कि AWS सीखना है कि GCP सीखना है कि Azure सीखना है. Why guys? I have not done any certification. जब मेरे पास प्रोजेक्ट आता है, I am working on all three major cloud providers, but I didn't do any certification. जब मेरे पास प्रोजेक्ट का रिक्वायरमेंट आता है, maybe some services from the AWS which I have not used. I can't say to my manager or teammate, okay, I have not used it. I don't want to work on that project. That's not kind of attitude you should have. आपके पास टास्क आ रहे हैं ना, टेक अ ब्रीथ, गो थ्रू द डॉक्यूमेंटेशन अवेलेबल, ब्लॉग्स वगैरह पढ़ो एंड स्टार्ट वर्किंग ऑन इट. यू विल फेस सम डिफिकल्टी व्हाइल लर्निंग. थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्टी आएगा, बट दैट्स ब्यूटी अबाउट इट. थोड़े टाइम के बाद यू विल फील गुड. Your speed will also get improved. So don't stop fighting over which cloud you should learn. I will say कि एक कौन सा भी cloud सीख लो. Which cloud we are going to cover into DevOps batch 2. That's going to be mystery. I'm not going to tell you now कि कौन सा cloud होने वाला. And I have a few plans for my batch 2 students. Definitely, I want you guys to master the cloud. Master the cloud, not the AWS cloud या फिर GCP cloud. I want you guys to master the cloud. Once you learn any one of the cloud, obviously you can learn the another cloud. That's how I've been doing my projects as well. एक प्रोजेक्ट में GCP यूज कर रहा है, एक प्रोजेक्ट में AWS कर रहे हैं यूज, या दूसरे प्रोजेक्ट में Azure यूज कर रहे हैं, AKS या Azure वगैरह दूसरे सर्विसेज यूज कर रहे हैं. So हमें सीखना पड़ेगा ना. सेम फॉर जेनकिंस. जेनकिंस का भी बहुत सारे अल्टरनेटिव्स है. सर्कल, सीआई, गिटहब एक्शंस, ट्राविस, बहुत सारे टूल्स अवेलेबल है मार्केट में. सो वी कांट आई कैन टीच यू एवरीथिंग इन अ क्लास, बट जो मेन बेसिक जो कंसेप्ट होगा ना, दैट आई विल कवर. जेनकिंस के साथ आप हाउ यू कैन डू अ CI/CD. आई मे गिव यू टास्क टू डिजाइन अ CI/CD पाइपलाइन इन डिफरेंट टूल. You have to do it. Yes. बिकॉज हमें मास्टरी करनी है अबाउट दैट टेक्नोलॉजी, नॉट अबाउट द टूल. टूल तो हम सीखने वाले, एक टूल जो भी पॉपुलर है, जो भी डिमांडिंग है, दैट वी आर गोइंग टू कवर. बट हमें उस टेक्नोलॉजी का मास्टरी करना है. लेट्स से डॉकर. डॉकर इज फेमस, बट नाउ पीपल आर मूविंग टू क्रायो CTL यूज कर रहे हैं. सो आई मे आस्क यू टू लर्न योर सेल्फ क्रायो, do the practicals, and I may give you assignment on the cryo as well. तो आपको करना पड़ेगा. डॉकर का तो होगा, बट आई वांट यू गाइस टू लर्न एडिशनल टूल्स एज वेल. लेट्स से DevOps Patch 2 के बाद someone जो start applying for interviews and those people are using cryo, but in DevOps Patch हमने सिर्फ डॉकर सीखा है ना. So you will say कि सागर ने डॉकर सीखा है, तो you will start saying I only know the Docker. हमने कभी क्रायो पढ़ा नहीं या फिर सीखा नहीं. बट वी हैव 2 months ऑफ टाइम. हमें एक्सप्लोर करना है जितना हो सकता है. वी हैव टू एक्सप्लोर. यस. आई कीप ऑन टॉकिंग. मेरा लेक्चर कभी खत्म नहीं होगा, एंड दैट्स हाउ माय लेक्चर आर गोइंग टू बी इन DevOps Batch 2.0. लाइव डिबगिंग, लाइव ट्रबल शूटिंग. पूरा थ्योरी नहीं होगा या फिर पूरा प्रैक्टिकल नहीं होगा. इट हैज टू बी अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ बोथ, बिकॉज आपको इंटरव्यू में क्वेश्चन के आंसर भी देना है. यू नीड टू गेट अ जॉब एज वेल, एंड जॉब मिलने के बाद वो सर्वाइव भी करना है, राइट. तो फिर वो भी हमें ट्रबल शूटिंग और डिबगिंग भी आना चाहिए. दैट्स व्हाई आई डू लाइव डिबगिंग एंड ट्रबल शूटिंग. पूरा कंटेंट बना के यहाँ पे नहीं लाता. आई टीच एवरीथिंग फ्रॉम स्क्रैच. डिबगिंग सीखो, कैसे करते इशू आया तो फिर पैनिक नहीं होना है, कहाँ पे जाना है, कौन सा एरर देखना है, एरर का मीनिंग समझने के बाद वो ट्रबल शूट कैसे करते आना चाहिए. एवरीथिंग इज इम्पोर्टेंट. एंड just I'm so excited for my batch too. If you are interested and have not register for it. आपके लिए ही मैंने इतना टाइम तक 75% वाला डिस्काउंट रखा था. एंड if you have any friends, just let them know. Please share about our class, free security class, and the upcoming batch too on with your friends network or maybe on social media. And yes, that's it. Super excited, super pumped. Are you guys excited? Awesome. ठीक है guys, just do this practical जो भी हमने सीखा है ना, पूरा प्रैक्टिकल करना है, बिकॉज इन दिस इज एडवाइस फॉर बैच टू स्टूडेंट्स एंड नॉन बैच, मतलब जो आप इवन इफ यू आर नॉट रजिस्टरिंग, इट्स नॉट लाइक कि मैं फ्री में एडवाइस नहीं दूंगा. This all these things what advice I'm giving into this pre-secondary class, this you should apply for your role as well. जो भी हम सीख रहे हैं ना, बस उतना लिमिट नहीं रखो. You need to do the practical because DevOps में इतने सारे tools and technology है ना, it keeps on changing. We need to be a fast or a quick learner as well. And if you don't keep on practicing on these tools, after some time you'll start forgetting the thing. We don't want to be that person. हमें एज अ डेवऑप्स इंजीनियर कंटिन्यूसली लर्निंग भी आना चाहिए. ये जो कंटिन्यूस जो वर्ड है ना, बहुत मायने रखता है यहाँ पे. कंटिन्यूस लर्निंग, कंटिन्यूस इंटीग्रेशन, डिलीवरी, डिप्लॉयमेंट, सब कुछ कंटिन्यूस होना चाहिए, नो ब्रेक. Yes, yeah, that's it for today. So super excited, and thank you for joining class. See you in the next session. We are almost at the end of CKD session. इसके बाद एक services वाला class लूँगा, and we'll start with the assignments and the solving practical exam questions. Okay, bye. Have a गुड अपकमिंग वीकेंड. आपका वीक अच्छा हो नेक्स्ट वाला. एंड सी यू सून गाइस इन नेक्स्ट क्लास. बाय.
The recording has stopped.